Hello and welcome back, Blueberries, for another episode of the Blueberry Guide. So far we've looked at the basics of the game, basic defending and basic attacking, as well as some advanced defending as well. In this video, that's right, you guessed it, we are looking at advanced attacking. So we're going to focus more on squad roles when moving together, splitting into different fire teams and the benefits that provides, what the different markers your squad lead may place are, building red zone garrisons by doing the double drop, and finally how to flank effectively. So before we get started, if you are enjoying this guide and you have enjoyed the previous episodes, then give the video a like and please subscribe to my channel, it's very much appreciated. Once again, I'm by no means an expert, so as always, if you are one then, and there is something I've missed, then please let me know in the comment section and do your bit for the bloobs. So without further delay, let's get on to the first chapter of this video and focus on squad positioning and roles when advancing. Alright, let's start by looking at squad movement and the formation we should adopt when advancing. So we've managed to get ourselves into a good position here and started to advance towards the enemy strong point. If we look at the squad here, first thing you'll notice is our spacings. Notice how we are spread out, but we're close enough to assist each other should we get into trouble. If we bunch up too much, all it takes is one accurate artillery round to wipe out the entire squad, and all that hard work we've done to get into that position will be in vain. However, one thing you may not have noticed is the fact that we are in a very specific order. So as we know, each role has their own special uses, and it's important that we use those skills appropriately. For example, it makes no sense to have our squad leader taking the front point and getting wiped out instantly. He's the link between command and the squad, so ideally we want to keep him up at all times. If he goes down and hasn't managed to get an outpost down, then the entire squad is screwed. So the best position for the squad leader is somewhere in the middle here. So as our point men at the front, ideally we want someone that's in the class of either assault or auto rifleman. These guys are going to have the best loadouts for a quick response to any threats. Closely behind, this is where we want our riflemen, so that they can provide some additional fire support to our assault or auto rifleman classes. Next up, either just behind or just in front of our officer, we want our AT guys or our engineers. We don't want them right at the front just in case they get wiped out by enemy infantry, but we want them close enough to the action so that if an enemy tank pops up, they're well equipped to be able to deal with it. And finally, generally the guys you'll see at the back will either be your support class, as they can hold on to supplies to put down a potential garrison for your squad lead, either our medic so that they can pick up the rest of our squad when they get taken down, or alternatively our MG so that they can set up and provide suppressive fire as the squad advance. So let's see how that looks in real time.
Get a big push going, eh?
Let's go. For the Deutschland!
Get in these trenches, lads.
Yep.
Nice boys.
I'll cover with my rifle.
Smoking it out, boys.
Coming out here.
Oh. Yeah, they're in
Drop
bunker.
one.
Hold on.
There's
I'm
two
gonna chuck
there.
a grenade.
Got two.
Yep.
Got two.
Nice.
There's
Nice.
nodes there as
Grenade
well.
out. Grenade out
On your
towards the
60
bunker.
lead.
Don't go there.
Watch wait for that explosion.
Get SETI on those nodes if we can, Muckle.
Yeah, I know. I'll do it now.
Oh yeah, Rambo's got the fucking assault.
Yep.
I want to get that
on.
so bad.
Sadie's on nodes, so just take care, alright? Don't go
Oh,
near
yeah.
there.
So a good push there by the squad, allowing us to move into the point and get the satchel on their nodes. And hopefully that gives you a bit more of an understanding as to how squad movement should look. So let's focus on splitting into different fire teams and what's the point of it. Why don't we all just stick together and try and push the point? Well, it's simple. It basically allows the squad to work in unison and combine an attack from multiple directions without trying to team up with another squad and having two squad leaders communicating in command chat, clogging it up and creating a complete clusterfuck. So what we'll do is we'll use this example of how splitting up can cause the enemy all sorts of trouble. So just for some context, we'd recently played a clan war with this one and we had just capped the middle point. And as a result of that, we were struggling to move up to the next point to focus our attack. This mainly became because the enemy had established an eastern attacking garrison, which was intercepting our movement. Now, we could just keep trying to take it head on, but it was clear that we were running into an open field. There wasn't much cover, so as a result, the enemy were able to just take us out from a distance and stop any advance onto that garrison. So this is where we decided to split up into separate teams. So we had half the squad maintaining that frontal position and trying to push from the OP and keep the enemy engaged. And then we had the other half of the squad push around the back, by spawning at that eastern garrison and moving across behind the enemy. So what that allowed us to do was actually distract them from behind when they eventually realised we were coming, and then that allowed the other half of the squad to push up from that OP, get the perfect rocket shot off, and take out the garrison with it. So here's how that looked in real time.
That's more on that tree line.
Okay, I've got the guy in front of me. I think that I've got the OP.
Was that guy?
Got the
There's an
OP,
OP
boys.
on this
Great work.
haystack here.
Yep, I see him. That big.
Oh,
I
yeah,
see him,
garrison's there,
okay.
Fitty.
I got you.
I'll get you some suppression. Ah, I missed.
Garrison down.
Great work.
Those trees, Crispy.
Dropping, you want explosive ammo?
Yes.
So yeah, you can see how effective that is by splitting the team into two there. And what that did was it took out that garrison. It then allowed our squad to be able to start pushing on to the next point. But it also opened up a pathway for the rest of the team to push up as well. So that then allowed us to attack the next point from the west and front on. And yeah, we were able to cap that point in quick succession as a result of that as well. Moving on to chapter 3, and we have squad lead map markers. Now, you've probably been in game and seen these all over the map when you open it up and wondered to yourself, what the hell are they? These are basically effective little map markers that allow your squad leader to paint a picture to command, as well as giving your squad some direction and objectives. So the main ones you're going to see in game are your move marker, attack marker, defend marker, and observe marker. Now, there's other pings that you'll see as well, but we won't go into those for now. We'll just focus on these main 4. So move is basically what it says on the tin. This is basically where your squad leader is asking you to go to. Now, most squad leaders will actually tell you once they've placed the move marker and ask you to move there. However, if they don't say anything and you notice one on the map, just confirm with your squad leader that that's where they want you to go. Attack. This is where your squad leader is going to ask you to attack from. So this could be something as simple as looking for a nearby enemy garrison that they've got confirmation on, or it could just be an angle to attack the strong point from. So keep an eye out for those attack markers. Defend is essentially the same as the attack, but just on defense. And finally, we have observe. So observe can be used for a couple of purposes. It may be to suss an area where a suspected garrison may be, or it could be to investigate where enemy infantry are coming from. However, sometimes it's also used as an additional move marker. So for example, if the squad leader wanted to split the team into 2 and have half the squad go one way and the rest to go another, he may do this by simply placing one move marker for squad member 1, 2, and 3, and then asking 4, 5, and 6 to follow his observe marker. That way, both squads have the understanding of where to move to and a clear objective of where to go. So as I said, we won't spend too long on the other map markers, but there are some really important ones to take note of, which are really going to help the rest of the team out as well. So it's important that when you're in game, you're letting your squad leader know where you're seeing enemy armor, where you're seeing enemy vehicles, where enemy infantry are coming from. This is going to allow them to mark it up for the rest of the squad leads and the commander, and they're going to know where to respond to. So if you see something that needs calling out, ask your squad leader to place a marker on it. It literally could be the difference between your team losing a heavy tank or destroying an enemy tank. The way you can do this is either by calling out its exact location, or the best way to do it, I find, is to simply use your danger ping and then just say to your squad leader, hey, squad leader, there's an enemy panther on my ping. This will then allow him to see your ping, and then he can mark it up with the appropriate marker.
All right, boys, we're going to go to my attack mark, and we're going to set up a garrison down there. Infantry back here. Uncle Fitty, I want you guys holding this move mark out here. The rest of us are pushing down out before they probably have a garrison in the barn there. The boys who just spawned at that garrison, we're going straight to that move mark, and we need to put some pressure on these guys. We're going to follow Funk. We're going to head to move, then to attack. War Pigs is infantry in front of you.
So there's just some quick examples of the cool, calm, and collected Jedi Batman placing down markers and asking the squad to move to them accordingly, or head to his attack marker, for example. So it gives you a bit of an understanding as to how your squad leader will use those markers. That brings us to our next topic, red zone garrisons, aka the double drop. And no, I'm not talking about going for back-to-back shits. What I mean by the double drop is essentially dropping 2 sets of supplies in quick succession. So you may hear this a lot whilst you're in game. Squad leaders will ask their squad to do a double drop, but what do they mean by this? So unlike in my defensive video where I showed you how to build blue zone garrisons that only cost 50 supplies to build a garrison, in the red zone it costs 100 supplies. We know that the support class gets 50 supplies every 5 minutes, but to wait for his supplies to replenish for us to get to 100 is going to take a while. So what's the other options? Well, we could just grab a supply truck from HQ and bring it up, right? You could, and that will give you 150 supplies, but those pesky recon bastards will be watching you like a hawk and try and shoot you before you get chance to leave HQ.
Yeah. Oh shit, you got us both.
Yeah, and again, it's just, you're gonna go left and pull.
Yeah, there's heavy infy there. Oh, I got shot out again.
I give you Exhibit A. If you do happen to make it out of HQ, then you're likely going to be fresh meat for any good AT or armor crew. Not to mention that it does take time for someone to be able to drive the supply truck all the way up to your squad's position. Well, what about doing a supply drop from the commander? Once again, we definitely could, but when that great big dildo-shaped rocket comes falling down in a bright red parachute, you may as well just paint a target right between your eyes. As soon as the enemy see those supplies dropping, they will instantly start heading your way. And even if you do manage to get it up, they will likely find the garrison in no time and lock it out completely or destroy it.
We've got friendly supplies dropping through. Looks like a giant dildo. Yeah, buddy.
Oh, there
We've got infantry pushing this way, guys.
No! The power.
I present Exhibit B. So this is where the double drop comes into play. How this works is that your squad lead will place down an OP in an area that they want, or nearby where they want the garrison placed. Whoever is in the support role will place their 50 supplies down on their squad leader's marker and then choose to redeploy. They will then leave the support class when they go back to the spawn screen and another player takes their spot. They then spawn in on the squad leader's OP and drop their supplies, totaling 100 and allowing the offensive garrison to be placed. This way, you don't have to risk driving a supply truck up or give your position away with a supply drop. It's a quick and effective way of getting up an offensive garrison without sending an open invitation to the enemy as to where you are. So let's have a look how it's done. So Jedi has just placed his OP and Moko is in support class and is now going to head to Jedi's move marker to place down his 50 supplies. Once Moko has put down his 50 supplies, he will then redeploy and I will jump into the support class and place my 50 down.
Maybe like an hour ago.
Clear.
Got him.
Yeah, nice.
Moko, just watch our 6.
No, you can invite.
I didn't see you were online.
No, I wasn't on.
Right,
We're gonna have to
50 got
clear
the
that
supplies here. We'll
side of
get
the
a red
circle.
zone up.
Yeah, mate, they're up.
I'm gonna make a Discord for that.
Red zone's up, boys. Great fucking work.
That's it, boys. As easy as that. The red zone garrison is up, giving us another position to push the enemy strong point. Last but not least, that brings us to our last chapter of this video, flanking.
Scratch that move mark, boys. Head to a new one. Go to attack verso. Oh, fuck. I can't move.
Yeah, I'm getting
But Artie
fucking
just seems to be
dropped.
focusing on me.
So, we've all been in this position before where you're trying to attack the point, you've done a little flank, and you're still getting killed everywhere you move. And don't worry if you haven't experienced this yet, you certainly will. One thing I find that players often underestimate in this game is how far sometimes you need to flank the enemy. Let's pull up the map for some context. Prior to this screenshot, we actually had some good garrisons up in some decent positions. However, the enemy defense did a really good job at sector control and managed to wipe out all 3 in a matter of minutes. Now, players often think that flanking from this angle is enough, and sometimes it might be. However, a good defensive side will have their squads enforcing sector control, as was the case here, and it's going to be pretty rough going. Quite often I see players running the exact same way, dying, rinsing, and repeating. This is when you need to flank wide, and I mean very wide. So as a result of those garrisons going down, Jedi then decided to spawn back to HQ, bring up a supply truck, and get that garrison down on that flank. So one thing to take note of before we focus on the flank attack itself. If you see that a squad is spawning on this area, and it looks like it could be a surprise, don't be a numpty and spawn with the entire team on it. However, if you do, don't start firing your weapon like fucking Rambo and drawing all the attention towards the garrison. The idea here is we want to move towards the point and stay undetected for as long as possible. We will only engage enemies that are an immediate threat. If you're in a game where squad leaders are communicating with each other, then you also want to try and distract them from another position. So similar to how we did as a squad when we split into separate fire teams and got that garrison in Chapter 2, but on a much grander scale. This is then going to allow the flanking team to get much closer to the objective and potentially get another garrison up in which the entire team can then spawn on and simply overwhelm the enemy.
One more infantry at the back.
Tossbot, could you fall back, or could you drop your supplies out on my observe, please?
Yep, make my way down there.
Alright, Crispy, I've got 42 seconds, so we'll just wait here, get a OP down, and we can push across in a minute.
Yeah, Roger.
Okay, how
Oh
far
shit, they
is
just
this
took out.
shot?
Oh, wait.
200
New
meter
OP's
shot.
up, boys, that's me.
Bet.
Alright, Crispy, let's go, buddy.
Ah,
Give
fuck.
you down.
They're coming up towards you, Topsy.
No, the rest of us, I want you pushing up to the point. We need to put some pressure on.
I just got capped. Nerd.
Fuck.
OP's. It's in a dirty place. Make sure we're clearing out those buildings too, boys. Grenades in. Windows.
I was gonna say, I broke a condom.
Oh, look, it's major issues. The
Look at the
nicest
guy.
guy in the 11th right here. I'd actually go to war for this man right here. Like, I would fucking... I'd hit a toddler for this dude.
He's such a nice bloke. He really is.
Don't mind us talking about major issues there. Look, if you get a chance to play with him, then do yourself a favour, lads, and do so. As Jedi says, he is the nicest bloke in the 11th. So, yeah, definitely recommend playing with him if you get a chance. Anyway, you can see how taking a much wider approach, we were able to get into the point behind the enemy and eventually capture the objective. Well, boys, that's the end of another episode. If you're still watching, I hope you found it helpful. Next episode, we will look at the tactics that we've learned so far in defence, and we'll apply it to a real game so you can see it in real life scenarios. And then for the final episode, I will return you boys to the great man, Frank the Tank. Once again, I really appreciate you watching and all the support, and I'll see you next time.